Now, speaking of up close and personal, I'm going to do this in the camera. Hi, I'm StyleWIse, style editor, Jon Jordan, and it's time, that's called a prop, to get up close and personal, literally. The lighting you might notice is a little different, not very flattering. Lots of like hard overhead stuff going on here. This is how I see a lot of people lit for Zoom meetings. Overhead light, as I've said before, isn't our best friend. But sometimes you can't control your lighting. So that's why it's important to know how to put concealer on. Now, I've done a tutorial about concealer before, but admittedly, it was shot a couple of years ago, and I was at that time still clinging to the last years of my 50s. So I figured now that I've gone into the next decade, the 60s, concealer is more relevant than ever. And another admission here, I regularly have Botox and filler injected into my face, and they're worse habits to have. But I haven't had anything done in about 7 months. So considering the fact that we don't have great lighting today, I've kind of replicated that, and that I haven't really had any injections in a while, it's time to really think about concealer and how to take advantage of the new products that are out there on the market, for which I am not being compensated. But I just think a lot of you are maybe going overboard with it. There's a lot of finesse involved, I think, in terms of getting it done the right way. Now, speaking of up close and personal, I'm going to do this in the camera. I've actually put a little bit of concealer under this eye, a little bit. So this is the eye I'm going to work on, and actually maybe I can improve on that if I find the right product here. So I was at a major big discount store, and looking through the aisles to see what's new. And there are a lot of things that are new. Concealer for many years, and still in the minds of people, can be about light, medium, and dark beige, okay? And most people don't have beige skin. That's a little bit ashy, and you want to have a little bit more vibrance in your skin tone. And that's why when people just think in terms of light, medium, and dark, those are the people that you see walking around, and they actually have traded in their dark circles for kind of light, ashy circles. And what would the point of that be? So let's look at some packaging options. Here's one by e.l.f., and these are really inexpensive. 16-hour camo concealer, okay? Here's one that says hydrating camo concealer. Let's see. Here's one from Revlon, and it says Candid, and it's photo ready candid. Hard candy color correct. Okay. These two from Hard Candy and from Revlon are yellow based, okay? The idea of yellow is that it not only will cover, but that it neutralizes any of the dark circles that have a tendency to be kind of bluish or purplish in terms of their undertone. So these are supposedly ideal for any skin tone. And I do believe that they will work. However, you would need to put foundation on top of that to make it more realistic. Now, I subscribe to a different way of applying concealer and a different way of thinking about it. And so I'm gonna go with my instinct here. I'm opening the package for the first time, by the way, so I haven't practiced. I'm using this one from e.l.f. and it's the Hydrating Camo Concealer. And the color is light peach. So that's, let me hold that up to the camera there. It's light peach. Not sure if you can read that or not. Here's another problem that I'm identifying though, as a concealer expert. Okay, sponge tip applicator. This may be a really great product, we'll see. I do like e.l.f. Way too big, okay? Concealer is not about like creating this big triangle under your eye, okay? It's about being a lot more precise than that. And the way to go about that, I think, is with a brush, okay? Because you can be a lot more precise about it. So I'm gonna use this little brush. This is a pointed camouflage brush. You can kind of see that it's got a little bit of a point and it's flat and then extended out, but sort of rounded edges. Cosmetic brushes can be an investment. Here's a little trick, and I'll actually try to do it with this today. Go to a craft store and get craft brushes, because you can usually find an assortment of craft brushes like this. And a lot of these are really good, I think, to put makeup on with. You know, they're precise. Oh, you know what, I'll do another segment with craft brushes. But so I'm gonna use this one, I kind of like this. It's, you know, flexible and it's kind of rounded and, you know, fairly soft, but this is the brush that I'm going to use with the by e.l.f. Full Coverage Satin Hydrating Camo Concealer. All right, that I just opened. But we're ditching the sponge tip. So I'm gonna take my brush and I'm gonna just dip it in. All right, so this is how I apply concealer. I go in what is referred to as the tear trough. Okay, and so that's where I'm going to make my application. I may have too much of this on. You can always put more on. Anyway, take a few minutes to do this precisely, and I promise the results will be a lot better than if you just draw a big triangle under your eye. And my philosophy about concealer is that you should actually be able to do, well, look at that already, and it looks better than the eye that I put concealer on, just to show, you know, what it looks like with and without. I'm actually liking this. Okay, so I'm just kind of blending that out and not putting any more on. So as I started to say before I got enamored by this new concealer, I think you should be able to put concealer on and really have it just blend in and not require putting any foundation on top of it or powder or whatever. And so my thinking is that if you find a shade that you can just put on precisely only where you need it, and you don't have to do anything else, well, then it's the right shade. If you're picking out a product that you have to put foundation over and then put powder over, what's the point of that? You know, I just think it should be more exact than that. I hope this is looking blended on camera. I am shooting this in 4K high def, by the way. And I see this little like area down here. I also put a little bit, you have to kind of look at your face and judge it in terms of the three-dimensional aspect. I have a little bump here that, you know, where underneath the tear trough, sometimes, you know, there are little lumps and bumps, and the point is that you want to cover really the area underneath the protrusions on your face. So you want to go underneath those and just apply this to the darker areas that are either dark from discoloration or dark because there's a shadow that's being cast. Yeah, I think this is looking like really good. Now I'll show you another little trick. I'm going to go back into my, I've only used one little swipe of this to do that whole eye. It's a little trick here in the nasal labial fold. Or if you have a little blemish, I have a little boo-boo there. Yeah, I think you can see that. And here's the other thing. Take a step back. People make a lot of mistakes because they're doing their makeup like this, okay? And then they don't check it out as the light changes. Another trick that I recommend is that you actually go take a handheld mirror and go stand in front of a window so that you can see what you look like in, you know, broad daylight, or you know, see what other people are seeing is a good way to think about it. Okay, so I'm real happy with that. I wouldn't put anything on top of that. I actually think this looks better than the concealer that I used on this side. So now I'm gonna see if I can improve this. I've been actually looking for a new product, so. And I like the idea that this is hydrating. Okay, so we'll improve on this. Okay, see how I'm just using a little tiny bit. Okay, and it's, you might be able to hear the clock ticking in the background. That's my actual clock. It's not, that's not a special effect. But my point is, if it takes you a couple of minutes versus a couple of seconds, well, you know, if the results can be much better and much more believable, I think that you can, you know, devote a few minutes to this. I really like, okay, see this area right here? This is what I was talking about. That little protrusion. Now granted, I've had some work done, so I don't have, you know, major geography going on down here. Oh, this is the other thing too. I always brush it on the palm of my hand. That way you meter the dose. Metering the dose is like my philosophy of life, pretty much. Okay, so see that little area there? Only thing is, doing it in the camera like this, it's not good for my back or my neck. Yeah, I'm sold on this product by e.l.f. and it was cheap. I don't know the exact price, but if you're familiar with e.l.f., which you can get at discount stores at, you know, like Target or Walmart or drug stores, probably Walgreens, Rite Aid, CVS, and maybe even grocery stores. I actually think this looks really, really good. I'm surprised that, yeah, and I might look closer at this and decide that I want to put a little powder on top of it, but I don't think so. I mean, what do you think? I certainly want to hear from you. I appreciate you indulging me in my passion for concealer. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it should be precise. So I hope that you've learned some things on StyleWIse today. You can check out my other segment, my previous segment about concealer. I think I've kind of improved upon that. And you can take a look at what I looked like when I was still in my 50s. Such fond memories. Thanks for watching today. I'll see you next time on StyleWIse. If you'd like to see more of this stuff, please subscribe and feel free to comment.